Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. Just checking my mic. Alright, welcome to another installment of Tutoring Amazonians. I had to think about that. I don't want to mix up my live streams or misconstrue which one I'm talking about. So this is a channel primarily for Amazonians and family members of Amazonians that may be having issues with math or science courses. I'm here every week. It's free, and all you have to do is send in your questions. So, let's see where we are. I'd like to give a special congratulations to Mike. Mike just, he recently, like about a week ago, he just got his scores, but he recently passed the AFOQT. That is the Armed Forces Officer Qualification Test. And, basically, it's like an ASVAB, but it's for the officer corps. And I am looking. All right, checking the email. Whoa. Okay. Give me a moment. Okay. All right, and when you because I have no idea where okay, TPA 2. All right, it looks like Florida, I'm assuming. But yeah, if you want to just put your actual city, like say like EWR4 is Robbinsville, New Jersey, you can put that in there, that information in there as well, because I don't know all the locations by heart. Okay. TPA. Let me come back to the yeah, TPA 2. Okay, basically, let's see what we have here. All right. They're having a problem with decimals. All right. Well, the whole thing about decimals, when we're adding and subtracting them, we're going to line them up. And when we are multiplying, we have to keep track of the decimal parts or points. So, and people don't laugh because a lot of people have not dealt with decimals. They pretty much put them in their calculator, or they use their phone, the calculator function. And a lot of people have issues with decimals, mostly dividing decimals, but we're going to touch on that in a minute. But let's talk a little bit about decimal places. All right, so if I had 201.567. Okay, let's talk about our places. This is the ones place, this is the tens place, and this is the hundreds place. This would be the tenths place, hundredths place, and the thousandths with a THS on the end. All right, so we have the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths, and the ones place, tens place, and the hundreds place. So we'll just basically start off, with that as far as decimal places go. Now, here's the thing. When we are adding and subtracting fractions, not fractions, decimals, what happens is, let's say I had 201.56 plus 2.2. Well, basically what we want to do is we want to line up the decimals. So we have 201.56, and then we would have 2.2. Now notice the decimals are lined up. So if we're adding that, we could use that as a space filler. And you could also, if you wanted to, it's just assume when we don't see any number there that there's a 0 there. So we have 67302. So if we were adding or if we were subtracting, we've just added. All right. So basically, we just kind of add downward. All right. If we were subtracting, 6 minus 0, 3, 1, 9. And actually, this will be a 9. All right. I'll just check myself here real quick, because the trolls are always watching. And I don't want to give you guys any bad information. So when we're subtracting, notice that the decimals are still lined up. Okay, yeah, so 199.36 is the right answer. Now, multiplying decimals, we just need to keep track of where our decimals are and how many spaces. So 2.2 times, let's say, 1.36. So we'll multiply like we normally do. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6. We carry the 1, so we add a 7. 2 times 1 is 2. And basically, we would have the same, we'd have the same row of numbers, just space filler there. And then we would add. Now, we have 1, 2, 3 decimal spaces. So, very important, we come in 1, 2, 3 decimal spaces, and the answer is 2.992. So with the multiplication, we don't line the decimals up. We just kind of keep track of the decimals. So we have 1, 2, 3 decimal spaces, and we multiply like we would normally do if we had no decimals. And then we have to come in 1, 2, 3 decimal places for our final answer. All right. For division, let's say we were dividing I don't know. I gotta get rid of that marker. All right. Now, the first thing we got to do before we even start is we have to move this decimal over 2 spaces. And whatever we do out here, we have to do in there. So if this moves in 2 decimal spaces to here, then this has to move over 2 decimal spaces. And then we bring our decimal up in our answer. All right. So 136 cannot go into 2. It can't go into 20. It can go into 202 one time. We subtract. And 662 and 5 times. Is 5 too much? 136 times 5, 30, 15, 18, 680. That was too much. So 4 works. Five, 4, 4. So it'll be 14 point something. All right. And, well, let's go ahead and just complete it. 5, 118. All right. And we drop a 0. And 9 may work. 136 and 9, 54, 27, 27. It's too big. 136 times 8, 48, 428, 1088. Okay, so we'll just go out 1 decimal place. And the answer would be 14.8. So when we're dividing decimals, at the beginning, it's important to note how many decimal points are out here. We move over 2 here. So then what we did was we moved the decimal over 2 in there, and then we brought the decimal up for the answer. So a lot of people, they don't do division by hand. They use a calculator. But this is how you manually do it, or do it by hand. All right. Let's see what we got. Sure. And Chino. Okay. I was all into the question and didn't see you, but I see you now. So what location are you at, and what is the test you're preparing for? I could do a lot of arithmetic reasoning questions. Is there anything that you have problems with in particular, or are you? Because this could possibly be one. Okay, Newark, New Jersey. All right. And the ASVAB. All right. Okay, so is there a particular area that you are having problems with? And I know there's a delay. All the words get me confused. Okay, well, let me pull up a sample. They add so much to it. Well, there is a little method that I use. How you're going to get through the words and the process is by diagramming. Very, very important. You're going to have to diagram. You're going to have to go all the people that I tutor one-on-one in person or via Skype, when you're working with this, you have to diagram and you have to analyze via a process that I call line by line. You read a line and you diagram it. You read a line and you diagram it. Now, let's see here. I'm just going to a file with arithmetic reasoning in it. And unless you have an area that, arithmetic reasoning, unless you have an area that you're having problems with, I will just do one. And if I'm like kind of in the middle of a question and you put something up, I will get to it as I read it. Okay, so you haven't really added anything else. And that's all right. All right. Okay, here's one. A punch recipe calls for 2 1/4 quarts of ginger ale. How many quarts of ginger ale would be needed to make 1/3 of the recipe? So the first sentence is a punch recipe calls for 2 1/4 of ginger ale. So normally when we have this said recipe, all right, it is 2 1/4. So this is the amount, and I'll put GA for ginger ale, that we would normally have in the okay, that's good. So second part is how many quarts of ginger ale would be needed to make 1/3 of that recipe. All right, so if we're gonna do 1/3, we're gonna multiply by 1/3. So that's what I've done. I've read each sentence and I laid it out on paper or on the board. You will be doing it on paper. But a punch recipe calls for 2 1/4 quarts of ginger ale. How many quarts will be needed to make 1/3 of the recipe? So we have our 2 1/4 and our 1/3. Now this is a mixed number, and this is a normal fraction. All right. Now what I would do, this is what I would do. I would change this to an improper fraction. So we multiply 2 times 4 and then add 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Adding 1 is 9. So I would have 9/4 times 1/3. Now with fractions, when we multiply, the numerators and denominators are just multiplied directly across. So we would have 9/12, which reduces, both of these can be reduced by dividing by 3, and that will bring us down to 3/4. Okay, so that's how many quarts. 3/4 quarts, because in the question this did indicate that this was in quarts. So 3/4 of a quart. Normally we would use 2 1/4 quarts, but since we're only making 1/3 of the recipe, we only need 3/4 of a quart. All right, so that is the arithmetic reasoning. And unless, like I said, if you have any other questions, I'll do another arithmetic reasoning one. Okay. They made me wait a month to be able to take it again, but I've just been studying. You made it look so easy. Well, I do a lot of math, so that's the only way. That's the only way. There's no getting around it. How do you walk through your room at night? Because you've done it so many times, okay? And you've done it again and again and again. You know where the nightstand is. You know where the bed is. You know where your, if you had like some type of chest at the foot of your bed maybe or something like that. You know where it all is, so you can move through that room because you've done it again and again and again. And the only way you're going to get good at math is by doing math. And I thank you for your compliment on the way I explained it. Okay. Math is really not hard. It's just knowing what to do and under what conditions. And when you practice and you do it a lot, you get better at the rules of math. But yeah, I guess they want you to boost your score. Word knowledge. Word knowledge, and I'll do another one, but I just wanted to talk about some aspects of the test. Now, how should I say this? As far as your word knowledge, vocabulary is the hardest thing in the world to expand or build on, because you could read all you want. The only thing, there's really like no guarantee that you will see that particular word that you saw or studied. So that could be a pain. But if you can get a hold, and you don't even have to buy it, you can go to your local library, read the New York Times, the New Yorker, USA Today. What else? Reader's Digest. Reader's Digest. And I tell guys, like, okay, if you have friends and family and stuff, if they are reading these periodicals or magazines, say like their 9th grade year, by the time it's time to take their SATs or any type of scholastic aptitude test, if they read every, Reader's Digest every month that it came out and went to the vocabulary section in the rear, by the time they hit like their junior year when they're going to take their SATs, man, I'm telling you, there will be leaps and bounds. And that's like one of the best kept secrets for growing your vocabulary, because it's something that happens over time. It's not like math where I could teach you how to execute a certain problem and then, okay, I know how to do fractions or I know how to do decimals, because the numbers are interchangeable and you know the rules to working in numbers. Words are not as nice, I should say. Okay, so let's look at another arithmetic reasoning question. And Chino, I don't think I've ever seen you here before, so welcome, number one. And number two, I'm here every week for Tutoring Amazonians 8 to 9 o'clock. And then I do a military aptitude and FAA computer test live stream. Okay, so another arithmetic reasoning one. The question is asking, all right, is how much greater? Great. I hope so. Okay, so the question is, how much greater is the value of 3x plus 5 than the value of 3x minus 7? Again, if you could just have it all in one sentence, just come to the numbers part. Okay, so they want to know, the question is asking us, how much greater is 3x plus 5 than the value of 3x minus 7? So we have 3x plus 5, and then we have 3x minus 7. And they want to know how much greater is the value of this than this. And our answers are 8, 10, 12, and 14. So 8, 10, 12, and 14. So now, what does this mean? When I get questions like this, you know what you could do? You could set x to 0. Because they just want to know the value of. This is a variable, any number. So if we set x to 0, then that just kind of, it rolls, it takes all the clutter out of the way. It leaves us with 5 and then negative 7. All right. And so our answers are 8, 10, 12, and 14. So if we set x to 0, then the values here would be positive 5 and the value here would be negative 7. So as a result, we want to know, they want to know how much greater the 5 is than the -7. And all we have to do is go to a number line. 0 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the negative direction. Okay, and if we count from -7 to 5, then that will tell you that 5 is actually 12 units greater than -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units. Answer C. Okay, so that's how we analyze in arithmetic reasoning. Just read the questions. I know sometimes the verbiage can get a little bit crazy. How you doing, Viper? I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Okay, looks like I think we're good to go. Okay. So that is the last problem that we left off at. All right. So hopefully we're good to go here, and I may not need to connect to another server. All right. So, all right. Questions, Viper? If you guys, number one, let me just remind you, you can take a picture with your smartphone and send an email to the email address I just posted. So you can take a picture with your smartphone. You can, like, if you have your particular book or whatever, you can just take a picture right out of your book, right? And just take the picture, send it to my email, and that's one method. Or you could just type it on the message on the live chat message board. So however you guys want to deliver questions is fine with me, either the email way or you can type it out on the message board or the live chat. But if you guys don't have any questions other than that, I will do, let's see here. I got screens on top of screens, guys, so. Okay, here's another arithmetic reasoning one that a lot of people have issues with. Okay, and I'm going to try to go really, really, really slow with this one. So the question states, the average marksmanship score on 4 targets is 93. All right. If the scores on the first 3 targets are 92, 98, and 96, what is the score on the 4th target? All right, so what we're in a we have scores which are 92, 98, and 96, and then there's a 4th unknown score. But they tell us that the average is 93. All right. So a lot of people have issues with this one. So how do we come up with the average? We take the total number of test scores. I don't know, any type of score. We take the number of scores, like say if I have 5 tests and I want to know the average. Well, I add up the test score, each test score, and I divide by 5 because that's the number of test scores. So basically that will yield the average. So if we have the first 3 scores, which are 92, 98, 96, and the average is 93, how are we going to come up with the average? We're going to divide by 4 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 test scores. This 4th one we will call X, but eventually what's going to happen is we're going to divide by 4. All right. So if that is the case, then the sum of these four scores are going to be 4 times 93, because whenever you have a mathematical situation like this, you have a numerator over a denominator equals a number. This is actually this number times this number is equal to the numerator. I'll give you an example. If I had 8 over 4 equals 2, well, we know that 4 times 2 is equal to 8. So we do this, we set up the same situation. All right, 4 times 93 is going to be equal to the sum of all this, or the numerator. And essentially, boom, 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 we do that, we can find out the, making sure my cables aren't crossing. So we can find out the sum, or what all this equals, 92, 98, 96 plus the unknown number. So first we got to work out 93 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 372 is the answer to 93 times 4. Now, after we have that, get that out of the way. This means that 92 plus 98 plus 96 plus x is equal to 372. So what we'll do is we'll add all these up. All right, which will be 16 carry 1, 27, 28, 286. All right, so that is the sum of these numbers. 286 plus x is equal to 372. Now, a lot of people in mathematics will say, okay, well, you got to subtract 286 from both sides. Well, that's not the way I look at it. I look at the 286 jumping the equal sign to the other side and changing its sign. So it's positive now. When it jumps the equal sign, it'll become negative. So it will be actually, it's going to jump the sign, become negative 286. Boom, that becomes 6, 6, 2, 1. And 86 is our number. So 86 is the unknown number. So back to what the question asked us. Oh, and also 86 was A, 88, 90, and 93. So it will be answer A. But back to our question. The average marksmanship score on 4 targets is 93. All right. If the scores on the first 3 targets are 92, 98, and 96, what is the score on the 4th target? And I demonstrated how when we have a mathematical situation like this, the denominator times this number, whatever the fraction is supposedly equal to, if we multiply that, it will give us the total, the sum total of whatever's going on in the numerator. All right. And if you guys got that, please type in clear, and then it looks like somebody presented a question that I'm going to deal with. And all right. Okay. This is good. Very good, Chino. All right. Just make sure that I'm making this as clear as possible and everybody understands. Okay. All right. Larry travels 60 miles per hour going to a friend's house and 50 miles per hour coming back. Using the same road, he drove a total of 5 hours. What is the distance from Larry's house to his friend's house? Now, I see rates and I see a time, but let's see here. Our answers are 110, 126, 136, and 154. And I'm assuming you're talking about miles. All right, so round to the nearest mile. Okay, This is, it's kind of like we don't have all the information. So like I said, when we feel that way, we diagram line by line. So I'll put L here and the friend's house there. I will draw a line. All right, so that represents Larry's house to his friend's house. Now, distance equals rate times time is the formula that we're always going to deal with. All right, so what we will do is we will run it in both cases. All right, so we don't know the distance. It's unknown. But we do know the rate. So the rate going out was 60 miles per hour going to the house. And I'll put MPH to remind us. And then it was 50 miles per hour coming back. So that direction, that direction. Now, we've diagrammed that part. Using the same road. So it's the same distance. He drove a total of 5 hours. What is the distance from Larry's house to his friend's house? And our answer selections are 110. All right. 110, 126, 136, and 154. Okay. Now, they're very, very vague about the time because we don't know whether it was 5 hours total back and forth. So we don't know if it was two hours this way, 3 hours coming back. And let's look at that. 2 hours out would be 120. And 50 coming back. Does that work? Could it work? Now, what I would also do is I would try to pick something medium and just see if it works. Because this is the crazy part. It could have been, let's just say out and then back. What if it was 1 hour out, 4 hours coming back? That would be a total of 4 hours. 2 out, 3 driving back. Or 4 hours going out, which is probably not it, and then 1 hour coming back. I think 2 hours out, 1 coming back. 3 coming back. But does that work? If we did 2 hours going out, that would cover 120 miles. But then 3 coming back would not work. So let's look at 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours would give us 1, 2, 120. Oh, 90. That doesn't work either. Because 50 miles an hour coming back. 2.5. This is a tough one. I'm going to have to do some research on this one. All right. EBT company, hi. Hey, Maria, how you doing? All right. Yeah, but this one I'm gonna do some research on, and maybe I'll have it figured out by the military app to test prep. But I'm looking at this. These are like the strange ones. But I'm thinking if it was 2 hours out, it'd be 120 miles. But then if I have 120 miles and divide by 50, and if I do this, I can just chop the 2 zeros off. 1 0 each number, and then divide 12 by 5, 2, 10, drop the 2, 1 0, 2.4, which will represent 2 hours and 24 minutes. So that's not a total of 5 hours, though. All right, so that does not work. All right, so Now I'm like really vested in this. So I want this answer. Now, a lot of times what you could do is you could play trial and error. That's the cool thing about multiple choice questions, is that the answer is always in front of you. So, all right, let's just take 110. 110, and let's divide it by 60. All right, now, this is the distance, and this is the rate. So distance divided by rate will give us time. But we can chop off 0. So 6, 11, 1, decimal, 6, 5, 0, drop 0, 1.8, which is 1 hour, 48 minutes. All right. And let's look at 110 miles, 110, and divide by 50 and see what we get. Again, we can chop off a 0 on each one. 5 goes in 11 twice, and we would get 10, 1.0, and I think that's it. Yes, it is. It's 110. Because we got 1.8 hours, and then now we have 2.2. No, that doesn't work. It was a total of 5 hours. All right, which that yields 3 hours. All right, so 110 does not work. Sorry about that. False alarm. All right, 154 divided by 6 and 154 divided by 5. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a nerd now. I'm like, damn, I didn't get this answer. That is a problem, folks. All right, 15. 6 can't go into 1. 6 can't go into 15 twice. 12, 34, 5. 60 miles an hour. And I screwed that up. Really nice. It'd be 2.5 hours, though. All right. One, 5, 4. 60 goes into 2. 120. 4, 3. Decimal. Add a 0, drop a 0. 345. All right. So if 154 was the distance, it would take 2.5 hours to come out that way. 150, 4, 0, 40, 3.8. All right. 3.8 and 2.5 do not equal 5 hours. All right. So we got to go. I'll put those back, but let's see. 136. Uh, 60. 2 will give us 120. 6. Decimal, add a 0, drop a 0. 160, 2.2 hours out, and 50 would give us 136, add a 0, drop a 0. 360, 35, 2.7. That's still like 3 hours. So I don't want to, yeah, it is kind of. So yeah. If the question is how you worded it, they're saying 5 hours. And the highest one's not working out, and the lowest one, it's like it's closer to 3 hours instead of 5. But it says he drove a total of 5 hours. All right, well, This would be the closest, though. 136. Because you said round to the nearest mile. So I would have to go with 136. Okay, because 2.7 hours plus 2.2 hours is 4.9 hours. And if we rounded it up, that would be 5 hours. So we have rate and distance, and distance divided by rate gives us the time. So these answers are in time. So 2.7, 2.2 equals 4.9 hours of total driving. 2.2 going out and 2.7 coming back would equal 4.9 hours. 126 is just going to throw us off. So I'm going to have to go with answer C. I didn't think I was going to get that, but I got it. And I'm very happy. Well, I wouldn't let it go. I'm a nerd, sorry. Okay. So yeah, Viper knows that. I'm like, hey, I don't really like a word problem stomping me. Now, here's the thing. Would you take as much time? Like here, I have all the time in the world. Thank you, Chino. I have all the time in the world right now during the live stream. And that's why I kind of went ahead. Now, would I take that much time in a test? No, I would not. You're not going to be penalized for getting the answer wrong. And I want to tell you this because this is a test-taking tactic. All right. There was a considerable amount of time that I spent on that question. Now, for the time that I spent in that question, I would have just took a stab. Maybe I would have got it wrong, but I wouldn't have been penalized for it. And there's probably 3 additional questions that I could have scored points on to boost my score. So sometimes you got to just sacrifice a question or 2. A lot of people don't know that. Like they just want to, okay, I can't move on to the next. Just take a stab. I would rather see every question in that block. And if we're taking the ASVAB, I used to have the numbers up. But like, say I got 29 questions to answer in 25 minutes. All right. I would rather see all 29 of those questions than to take an inordinate amount of time or a longer amount of time and just see 24 questions. Get my drift, Chino? So, that is... All right, I am good. Just mind-blowing. Yeah, 136. And that's what I went with, 136. I didn't even watch, I didn't see you put that answer up. You're the man. Thank you so much, man. No problem. No problem. But just remember that test-taking strategy. I'd rather see all 29 questions and 25. If I had 25 minutes to take each question, I'd rather see all 29. Because even if I don't know every question or get every question right away, I'd rather see them all. That will greatly increase my score. Okay. We have, let's see, about 8 more minutes in this stream. Present a question or I will go to the email and pick one. Good. Alright. Okay. Go this one. Okay, this is from actually, wow, BDL. I think that's like Windsor Locks or whatever. And guys, if you're Amazonian and you're sending in a question, just say the city that your unit or fulfillment center is in, so I could properly address it. I won't say your name. I'll just shout out your FC, and then and then execute the question. This particular person is taking anatomy and physiology. When I was a fully active flight instructor full time, I had to learn anatomy and physiology. The reason why is because you have to understand the human body, how it works, and how it is affected in flight conditions. For anatomy and physiology, they're asking about a study method. Flashcards, 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 flashcards. The other thing that you can do, there is an anatomy coloring book where it has all the systems, and then you get your colored pencils, and then you just, it's like when you were a kid in elementary school and used to color and stuff like that. The anatomy coloring book is really, really good. I've had friends and family that were taking anatomy and physiology, and I highly recommend that book. You can go to Barnes & Noble, Borders, if they're still in business, but around me is Barnes & Noble. If they don't have it there in the store, you could have it ordered there without even paying for it and wait till it gets there, and then you go there and you pay. All right. The anatomy coloring book is an awesome tool. And then the second method is flashcards. All right. I would do them both. Depending, I don't know whether you're just kind of taking a course, like if you're in the Amazon Career Choice Program, which if you are an Amazonian and you don't know this, from what I understand, if you have worked there 1 year, they will pay, for certain classes and things of that nature. But the anatomy coloring book and flashcards, can't beat it. You could be sitting there, you could watch TV during commercials, have your flashcards on the coffee table, just pick them up, just boom, and keep them in a rubber band. Then when I don't know, anytime you can ask a question, Maria, whenever you get ready. But yeah, and so in your spare time, what you could do is just, boom, pick up your flashcards. Be like, boom, what is, I don't know, what is a scapula? It's that shoulder blade bone. What is the sternum? What is the clavicle? Parts of the head, the mandible, parts of the brain. When medically speaking, when speaking in medical terms, you have an anterior, you have anterior, posterior, you have, you could do it with everything, just flashcards, or just have a certain deck of flashcards with different systems. Like this will be the respiratory system, or this will be the digestive system, or this will be the nervous system, and you have cards related to that. But the flashcards, it's something that's time tested. You can't beat the flashcards, because it's not like, say like multiple choice. You actually have to know. 3 students for an average of 110. 6 students for an average of... Looks like... All right. It looks like I lost it for a sec, but I'm back. Okay, so number 1, please hit the like button. Number 2, what was I going to say? Yeah, this will be the last question. Okay, so this is a word problem, Chino, and you can see it on the message board. At a school carnival, 3 students spend an average of $10. 6 other students spend an average of $4. What is the average amount spent by all 9 students? So this brings us back to our averages. All right, so again, line by line. Okay, so we're at a school carnival. All right, and 3 students spent an average of $10. So 1, 2, 3. This student spent 10, this student spent 10, this student spent 10. All right, and Maria, what are my options, my answer options, more importantly? Type those in when you get a chance. All right, 6 other students spend an average of $4. So that's just like saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, $4, $4, $4, $4, $4, $4. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, 9 total students. What is the average amount of money spent by all 9 students? Maria is going to type in the numbers. So I see 10, 20, 30. And then I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 30, 24, $54 spent. All right. So the average 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 divided by 9. The average, the overall average is B. I just saw the answer. So B is the answer. So the average amount of money spent by all 9 students is $6. The 3 students spent 10, average of 10. The 6 students spent the average of 4. We add up the total number of dollars, $54. 10, 20, 30, 34, 38, 42, 46, 50, $54. And we divide by the number of students, which is 9. And 9 times 6 equals 54. So the average amount of money spent by all 9 students is $6. Okay, we're at our hour. Our hour's up. Our Amazon hour is up. Okay, so if you guys missed this live stream, I'm here every week, 8 to 9 Eastern time. If you're having any issues with math and science, I mean, shoot, we're almost like halfway through the semester. And I know, like, I was like pushing, like, hey, guys, we're back to school. You know, if you need me, my channel's here. Please go to my Facebook page if you're on Facebook and hit like if you could, or hit follow. All you have to do is type in stemwithkino.com in the search box on your phone and then just hit the follow button. All right. And so if it will keep you up to speed with all the live streams and what else? It'll keep you up to speed with all live streams. And yeah, so here's the thing. You're having problems with math and science subjects. I know a wide range of math and science subjects, from basic math to calculus, from physical science to physics, you know. So there's a free channel every week, and I'm literally pulling teeth for questions every week. Like, please give me a question. Okay, I go to the email and stuff like that. But I would like to see active people here. I understand some of you guys have to work. You know, and I get that. And so if you put in your FC, and Viper, we're about to go to the FAA and military test prep in about 5 minutes here. But yeah, Amazonians, if your kids are having problems with math, if you're having problems with math or understanding some concept or whatever, all right, you don't have to. Bring your questions here. And I am a pretty good, thank you. Thanks for coming, Chino. And you're more than welcome to come to the military aptitude and the FAA live stream that's going to be going in about 5 minutes. So yeah, the help is here. You know, you just got to take advantage of it. And that's really about it. So I thank you guys for watching. And make sure you're here. Tutoring Amazonians from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching. I'm Kino Thomas with STEMWithKino.com. Have a great night. And I'll do my little finger bang.